Welcome back, everybody, to Toronto Today here on the Parlay. I'm your host, Luca Rosano, alongside my co-host, Michael Singh, and we are back on the show. I had some technical difficulties yesterday, so we did miss the show, but we are back and we're ready to talk about a busy day coming up, especially in the NBA. Mike, I know you're ready for this NBA trade deadline, but before we get into that, how about the Raptors, man? They continue to get it done. I can't say enough good things about this team right now. 7 wins in a row. They beat the OKC Thunder pretty handedly. I mean, that game was over after the first quarter. Let's be real. They covered that big spread that we both picked on 3-point lines, and season high 7 straight win. Siakam's looking like an absolute stud out there. And the Raptors have the 5th best record in the NBA since December 1st. That's the stat that caught my attention the most after all this. They're in a league of their own right now with teams like the Suns, Grizzlies, Warriors, and Cavs who have done that, if not better. So this is an awesome team to watch right now. We know that. I think the questions today are going to be, what does this team do to upgrade that already talented starting 5?
I think the Raptors needed one of those games, Luca. Like, we think back, I feel like the last 2 months of Raptors basketball has just been playoff intense games that are going down to the wire. They needed a game against an OKC Thunder where, let's face it, that was a sloppy game. The Raptors, sure, they comfortably won in the end, but they didn't do so in a pretty fashion. They look like it looked like they're kind of taking the night off, which honestly, against an OKC Thunder team, they can kind of do that. One player who didn't take the night off, though, of course, was Pascal Siakam. He was very efficient from the floor once again, didn't take too many shots. And this guy is playing like a max contract player. His last 10 games, 23.5 points, 10.6 rebounds, which is a stat that really stands out to me, as Pascal Siakam is getting on the glass quite a bit. 6.2 assists. He's shooting over 50% from the field, over 40% from 3. He's not taking too many threes, but when he does, he's taking some good shots there. And the Raptors are 8-2 over that span with Siakam, and he's leading the charge right now for this Toronto team. He feels like he's so consistent. And it was another night where Siakam was leading the charge, but yet again, the starters backed him up. Fred VanVleet had 21 points. The rest of the guys had at least 15, of Gary Trent, Scotty Barnes, and OG Anunoby. Each had over 15 points. So, yeah, today's going to be a very interesting day. The Raptors get another sort of easy one tonight against the Houston Rockets. But I'm impressed with the way the Raptors kind of handled themselves last night, even though it was a bit of a night off.
Yeah, Raps are now 11-1 in their last 12, averaging about 117.5 points per game on 40.5% from 3. And yeah, we thought maybe that was going to be a letdown game. They lost against the Thunder earlier this season. That was actually at Scotiabank Arena, but the way that they were just able to win a sloppy game, like you said, Mike, it was reassuring that this team is taking care of business against teams that they should beat. And now we're going to see how they fare tonight against the Rockets. Again, it's going to be on the road, but the Raptors are going to be a big spread. And they have been one of the best teams in all of the NBA, 4th, I believe, in covering the spread. This has been a good bang for your buck with this Raptors team. And they're favored by 8 on the road against the Rockets, but I'm liking this spread. I can't think of a reason why to bet against the Raptors right now. I know the Rockets have some good young pieces. They have kept games close against good teams in the past, like the Warriors, but with the way the Raptors are playing, minutes hasn't been an issue. Back-to-backs hasn't been an issue. Doesn't matter who they're playing right now. I'm smashing that -8 on the road, Mike.
Yeah, and I'm going to do that for a couple reasons as well, Luca. First, let's quickly touch on the Rockets. They've failed to cover the spread in 11 of their last 12 home games. And they've been heavy underdogs in a lot of those games because, come on, it's the Rockets, right? And Kevin Porter Jr., Christian Wood, those guys are playing some really good basketball right now, but clearly they're not enough. And the Rockets have lost 11 of their last 12 at home. They've lost 7 of their last 8 overall, where the Raptors, as you mentioned, they're so good at covering the spread. Vegas has not been able to get the number on these guys, as the Raptors have covered the spread over 60% of the time, which is the 4th best in the NBA, as you're sort of mentioning there. And the Rockets, on the other hand, even though they've been given such heavy lines in their favor, they're the 4th worst in the NBA at covering the spread, at just 41.7% of the time. So there's a lot of numbers going in the Raptors' favor. There's the one kind of caveat to all of this. It's that Toronto struggle against Houston historically. They're 1-4 in their last 5 games against the spread in Houston. 1-4 straight up against the Houston Rockets in general in their last 5. And if you want to take a bigger sample size, they're 2-11 in their last 13 games when playing on the road in Houston. So if anyone's kind of leading Houston, that can kind of sway your way. But for me, I'm with you. I'm leaning Raptors. They've covered the spread in each of their last, 7-8 games. This team is on fire right now. And like I said, Vegas just doesn't have a grip on them.
Yeah, and all eyes are going to be at that trade deadline, man, as we're a couple hours removed from that 3 p.m. deadline to see if the Raptors can upgrade this roster. We just got a Woj bomb. The Kings are acquiring Milwaukee's Dante DiVincenzo in a 4-team trade, and Marvin Bagley's going to the Pistons. So the dominoes are about to fall, man. I feel like it's going to be a very busy day, and I do think the Raptors will be able to make a move. There's been so many rumors online speculating trades, what the Raptors can get back for Dragic. I mean, THT.
You left out the punch, man.
What's that?
Serge Ibaka to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Part of that 4-team trade.
So that was just, that's crazy. There you go. The dominoes are falling.
As a Raptors fan, how do you feel?
You're getting our raw reaction. I wanted Serge Ibaka on the Raptors, but I like this move from Milwaukee. They get another veteran big, and Lopez obviously has had his injuries on that team. This is big for them. I knew Serge Ibaka was going to be on the move, especially with the Clippers. There was many rumors saying that they were going to trade him, but we'll see who they get back in return. But that just goes back to my point, man. The day's already started off with crazy trades, and we're not even at noon yet. So what do you think's going to happen with the Raptors? So many names being thrown their way right now. Tillin Horton-Tucker, Jakob Poeltl, Nurkic, who went off last night in that win against the Lakers. Is Masai going to get something done here? What do you think?
Well, yeah, first, Serge to the Bucks, that hurts. That stings as a Raptors fan. I mean, as you mentioned, I was hoping that he would find his way back to Toronto. He was such a good fit here. The city loves him. And to see him go to like a rival in Milwaukee, of course, the team that we beat en route to the championship in 2019, that one stings a little bit. But I'm happy Serge is going to play some competitive ball. He's battled a lot of injuries this season, so that's good. And shifting to the Raptors, did you see that rumor that surfaced just before we went on the show? Jake Fisher reporting that, we got breaking news. We got Dragic to the Spurs. So breaking news.
Are you serious right now? Wait.
Shams is tweeting out, man. This is live reaction.
Wow.
So it's not really the guy that we're hoping for, though.
Oh, for Thaddeus Young. Are trading wow.
Dragic to the San Antonio Spurs for Thaddeus Young. Luca, live reaction. What are your thoughts on this deal?
Wow. I'm okay with it. I really am. Thad Young, I think, is a good bench piece. He's versatile. He's been around the NBA for many years. And the Raptors wanted to just get rid of Goran Dragic. So the fact that they're getting something back for him in return, I'm okay with this. I really am. It's not, that's what's crazy about this. It's not any of the names we anticipated or expected, but it's a name that can definitely help the Raptors' second unit. So I'm actually okay with this, Mike.
It sounds like it's 1-for-1 too. So the Raptors aren't really giving up any more future assets. Thaddeus Young, I mean, this guy's a veteran by every definition of the term. I think this is his 15th season in the league, which is quite wild. And most of his seasons, he's honestly averaging some good numbers. He's a guy who can grab you some rebounds. He's a guy who doesn't really turn the ball over too much. And points-wise, he's averaged double-digits points for 14 of those last 15 seasons. I think this year, with the lack of minutes he's been getting and shot attempts, he's only averaging 6.1 points per game, but he's capable of playing a role, which is something that I really like. And he adds some depth to this team, gives them some size, and I believe he's not too afraid of shooting the 3-ball. I know he hasn't done it much in the last couple of years, but he is capable of spacing the floor if you need. It's a little bit underwhelming for me. Does this move the Raptors? Does it push them over the line? I don't know about that. I don't know if more deals are going to be coming in. but for them not to give up some future assets, I mean, that's a positive takeaway. I was before the show, Luca, I was gonna say there's rumors surfacing that the Raptors were in on Kristaps Porzingis
Yeah, I know.
in a package for Goran Dragic, and that would have been really interesting because that's a guy who, I mean, he has a lot of pedigree. Of course, he's battled a lot of injuries, but you add him to that Raptors team, and I think they're contenders. Now, I'm not quite convinced, but they are playing some really good basketball. So maybe you don't want to tweak it and shake it up too much, right?
Yeah, I think this is it in terms of moves the Raptors make. And it's just funny. I want to just emphasize this. We can speculate so long and hard about names going to the other team and going through so many names that could be potential targets. And look who it ends up being all along. Mike, no one had Thaddeus Young on their radar, and it ends up being him. So that just tells you how crazy these trade deadlines are, as Mike's he's going through that feed. He's refreshing that timeline to see if he's breaking any more news for us. Kudos to you, Mike, because I did not see that with the breaking news of Thad Young to the Raptors. But I'm okay with it. I like it. I don't think the Raptors are going to make any other trades. And I think this says that the Raptors are content with where they stand right now. They are okay with going in with what they have. They got another bench piece, another big body, if you will. And they're gonna continue this hot play and continue this experiment of, if you will, of going all in with this team that has just won 7 in a row, that has quickly made up ground in the East, and a team that still is going to be a team I think nobody wants to play in the playoffs. So yeah, crazy stuff, man. Something tells me we're going to have a lot more deals coming soon. James Harden's name has been coming up a ton. Is he going to go to Philly? I think that's my big bull prediction for today, man. I really think that trade will get done. Harden apparently wants out, but he didn't want to make an issue by saying publicly that he wants out. So Kevin Durant liked that report. Things are crumbling in Brooklyn, and things are looking pretty good for the Raptors right now. So yeah, man, cannot complain after this.
That's good news for the Raptors because obviously you want Brooklyn to kind of fumble down there. Just circling back to this deal, Luca. I know you mentioned the Raptors are content with where they are. Knowing everything that you know about this team, about their current situation, about their window, are you content with the deal that the Raptors made?
Yeah, I am. Like I said, I wasn't expecting much for Goran Dragic back. It was looking like the Raptors were simply just going to buy him out, and that's it. So the fact that they do get someone back, and Thad Young has been a player that I've really liked over the years, of just being another big body, versatile player who can play make for you, and he's going to fill a nice void from off the bench as being another rebounder, hopefully a guy that can score as well. I'm okay with this. This is better than not getting anything for Dragic. And we got to be realistic too. It's Goran Dragic. The guy hasn't played all season. He's up there in age. He has a brutal contract. What kind of player did you think was going to come back in return? I know we all fell in love with the notion of getting a Miles Turner and things of that nature, but this makes sense in terms of what Dragic brings to the table right now at his career level. The Raptors got something instead of nothing, so that's a win in my book.
I guess where I'm at with this is they could have attached more assets to Goran Dragic to kind of bring something back in return. They had all of their first round picks for the next 8 years to play with. They had 5 of their next 6 second round picks to play with. They could have attached assets to Dragic to bring back someone more valuable. Thaddeus Young is in the last year of a 3-year deal of $14 million this season, so the salaries kind of match up. I guess, does Thaddeus Young, right now, where I'm at is Nick Nurse is finding it hard to get Khem Birch into the game with the way that Precious Achiuwa and Chris Boucher are both playing. Where does he find the room now for Thaddeus Young? How does Thaddeus Young make this team better? That's kind of what I've come to terms with, is that this team didn't really improve that much. And I felt if you attach some more value, some more picks, and I think this team almost deserved for you to do that with the way that they're playing. Fred VanVleet said it, is that they need to make additions if they're going to be a contender. And I'm not sure if this is necessarily an addition that sort of moves the needle whatsoever for this team with the way that their front court is playing. Like Thaddeus Young isn't the biggest guy. Like he's big. He's a power forward, but he's another like Precious Achua, Ken Burch. Like can someone guard? Do they have someone who can guard Joel Embiid if they match up against Philadelphia in the playoffs? That's where I'm a little bit disappointed because I think they didn't really address a serious need. I don't think that Thaddeus Young really addresses anything the Raptors don't have.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that point. I mean, yeah, he's not a center at all, and he's still an undersized player. He's going to be another I believe he's like 6'7". And in terms of scoring, he's not going to give you crazy numbers from off the bench. But I think this speaks more about what truly was out there for Dragic. Maybe it wasn't a whole ton of options that these reports were indicating. Maybe Masai did whatever he could to attach a pick, as reports were indicating he was trying to attach that first round pick to get something. But teams were not biting on Dragic, and I don't blame them. Like I said, he hasn't played all year. He's 34 years old, I believe, got a terrible contract. So this beats not getting anything for him in return. But yeah, does it move the needle of the Raptors being a championship contender? Absolutely not. I mean, the Raptors are a tad bit better with this. I mean, slightly, if anything, but we'll see if any other moves happen. I don't think anything else will happen because the Raptors never had a whole lot to work with. And this was kind of just their one thing that they could have done, which was trade Dragic, attach a pick to his name, see what you can get. And maybe this was the only thing that was out there. So I don't hate it, but I understand what you're saying. It doesn't move the needle. Raptors are basically what they were before, but hey, at least they do have another body out there for the rotation.
Yeah, and that's the biggest takeaway is they do get another body for their rotation. They do get someone at least for Dragic. I'm not sure how much happier Dragic is going to be in San Antonio, so I wouldn't be surprised if they buy him out or if they find a way to flip him before that 3 p.m. deadline. Yeah, I just don't see him really playing a role there the rest of the season. So something to keep an eye on. And yeah, sure, they get another depth piece there in Thaddeus Young. So we'll see if the Raptors make any more moves here, Luca. I just, that's you know how I feel about this already.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. Okay, let's move on to the Leafs game. They're going to be taking on the Flames, and who do you got in this one? The Leafs are 7-2-1 straight up against Calgary. Flames are 7-4-4 at home this season. 5-7-1 as a dog is Calgary, and they're 6-1 straight up in their last 7. Leafs have won 6 in a row, of course. They're trying to match the Raptors here by winning their 7th in a row. Did they get it done?
Yeah, just before we quickly dive into that, I'm just reading the Spurs are actually negotiating a contract buyout with Dragic, according to Woj.
Yeah.
And teams like Dallas, Milwaukee, Chicago, and the Clippers are all interested. So
there you
nothing too surprising there on the Dragic front. Now, circling back to this Leafs game, this one's interesting. This one's really interesting tonight because the Flames are playing some really good hockey. They were one of the best teams in the league through the first 20, 25 games of the NHL season, and then they got absolutely hit with COVID. I think they had something like 21 players at the same time that got hit with COVID, and as a result, they've played one of the least amount of games in the NHL due to all the postponements they had to go through. Since then, they've come back and they're on fire. I think they've won something like 7 of their last 9 games. They had a really impressive win over a really good Golden Knights team last night, a Vegas team that was on fire on the road, but the Flames showed up and kind of dominated them last night. So what I do like about the Leafs in this one is they played Calgary a lot last season with the Canadian division, right? They played them almost 10 times, and the Leafs, they dominated Calgary last year. They're 7-2-1 straight up against the Flames, as you mentioned, in their last 10, 4-1 their last 5. The Leafs are playing some really good hockey right now. They've won 6 in a row. And on the road at the Saddle Dome, they're really good as well. They're 6-1 straight up in their last 7 games. I'm not crazy about the value. Minus 140 on the money line against a team like the Flames that are 6-1 straight up in their last 7. I don't know how I necessarily feel about that. I'm kind of on the fence here. What are your thoughts heading into this all Canadian matchup, Luca?
Yeah, you know what? I think the Leafs are going to keep it going. Austin Matthews is going to be probable to play in this one. Going to be a bit of a tough spot just because the Flames have been a pretty good bet at home this season. But the Leafs, they have had the Flames number lately. They're coming in with a bunch of momentum, and Calgary's only 8-15 against the spread in their last 22. But I mean, what matters the most is that they're 6-1 in their last 7. So you got two hot teams coming into this matchup. And I mean, if I had to side with one team, I would probably take the Leafs to win again. I think they do get it done, but you can find some decent value with the Flames as being a home underdog. This is a team that has proven they can win some pretty big games, and I would not be surprised if they win. But I would side with the Leafs here if you had to ask me who I'm going with.
Yeah, I think it's likely that we'll see Jack Campbell in net tonight, which obviously bodes well for the Leafs' chances. Anytime Campbell's in net, this guy just finds a way to win.
Yeah.
Also, with the way that the Leafs are playing defensively, and they're also finding ways to score goals. I mean, let's talk about a guy quickly. And this is a little prop bet that I like as well. Mitch Marner. He's scored in 8 straight games, and NHL are a career high for him. And I just looked at a prop bet for him. Plus 250 to score anytime. This is a guy who has 19 points in his last 8 games. He has, I think, 10 goals or 9 goals over that span. Take that prop bet because Marner is just on fire right now. Take it until he stops scoring, honestly. Marner is a guy who he's playing up to his contract, as we mentioned, and he's playing like a top 5 player in the NHL right now. So expect him to keep that going. And another positive news is Austin Matthews, who left Monday's matchup when he took a knee to the head against the Carolina Hurricanes. He was back on the ice and he's probable for tonight. It seems like he will play tonight, which is another good sign for the Leafs. So at 140, I honestly don't love that value, but if I had to pick, I'd probably take the Leafs.
All right, we'll see what happens there. Is that's gonna transition us into the best bet of the night? Is that gonna be your best bet? Or are you going with something
before
else?
we actually head there, I'm just reading some Blake Murphy stuff, one of the goats of Raptors Twitter, and it sounds like the Raptors are going to be getting at least one more piece back in that Dragic deal from the Spurs.
Nice.
So we'll keep an eye on that. If you're a fan of the game of the Raptors, keep a close eye on Blake Murphy's fee because he seems like he's up to date on it. There's mentions of either Lonnie Walker or Zach Collins as possibilities coming back in the deal. In order for that to happen, I'd assume that the Raptors would also have to give up a pick. So we'll see. Oh, and we got, literally breaking news by the second this is happening. We're live reacting to all of this. I just saw a Shams tweet pop up on my timeline. So the Raptors are trading Dragic and a protected first-round pick to the Spurs for Thaddeus Young, Drew Eubanks, and a 2020 second-round pick via the Pistons. What do you know anything about Drew Eubanks?
I mean, not a whole ton.
Let's do a quick Google search, man.
That's some filler piece. He's another big body, that's for sure. I mean, I don't know how. I think he's over 6'9". He's a forward/center. Or he's 6'9". I was right. He's 6'9", 4.7 points per game, 4 rebounds. Not a guy who's gonna move the needle, but it gives the Raptors a big body.
Yeah, honestly, I'm even a little bit more disappointed in this trade. I mean, it's good that he gets a decent sized body, but a first round pick.
Yeah, first round pick. I don't know about this now. Yeah. Spurs are getting Goran Dragic, a 2022 first round pick, which is protected 1 through 14. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Did you really have to include that first round pick?
That's exactly where I'm at right now. That's not a great trade for the Raptors, in my opinion. It's very underwhelming, but we'll kind of, I guess, see how it plays out. Maybe Masai knows something we don't, because there's one thing I've learned is definitely trust Masai Ujiri.
Man, my thoughts exactly. But yeah, I'm just trying to process this as this is going along. This has been a crazy show. Are we ready to get to our best bet, or should we just keep refreshing a little bit more?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Did you send out a tweet mid-show?
Yeah, I did. I've been live tweeting during the show. That's why my maybe my thought processes
I
aren't all
love it.
there.
I love it, Luca. You got to get those interactions, man. You got to get that engagement. I know it's this prime time. I love it. But yeah, let's finalize. Let's get to our best bets. With me, I'm keeping it simple, doing with that what's been working for me, and I'm gonna stick with the Raptors here. I'm taking the Raptors to cover -8 against the Houston Rockets. There's no reason to bet against this team right now. They've been blowing out teams, covering the spread. Another reason I like this is because it's possible that Houston makes a lot of deals today. They're probably going to be pretty active selling off their team, so they might be shorthanded as well against the Raptors. So get that line in before Houston does make any moves, as that'll probably shift after they do.
All right, man. For my best bet, I'm going to go with a team that's been a pretty safe bet. And that's the Miami Heat, -4.5. I think they're going to, win this game pretty comfortably. This is a Heat team that I expect to make a run in the second half of the season. But this could be also a trap game. The Pelicans have been playing really, really well. They, of course, made that big acquisition to get CJ McCollum. We'll see how they look. But I like the Heat in this spot. I think this team has proven that they can get it done on the road. And I think their defense is going to come up big here. So I like Miami, -4.5. I think they're going to win this game pretty comfortably, and hopefully I could continue this hot streak with my best bet.
There we go. Fingers crossed that you keep that going. Obviously, the Heat have been a really good bet this year for anyone that's betting them. It's a decent spread against a decent side, but Luca, you're 16-7, so there's no reason to question you right now.
Trying to make it 17-7, man. That's it. We got to just keep it going here. But hey, your NBA bets have been killing it. I want to give Mike a special shout out on this show because I don't know when he's going to be doing 3-point lines with Noor coming back. But I got to say, man, if I got to give an award to someone who has filled in perfectly for someone else and dominated the picks for that segment, it was you, man. You had probably one of the greatest 2-day runs out of any in recent memory. You absolutely killed it with your picks.
Yeah, man. I think the last 2 days I went 14-2 with my picks. So tell Nora to watch her back there. I might just be coming for her position. She's got to step her game up.
Well, thanks for your services, Mike. And hopefully you did listen to Mike with your NBA bets and you made some money. But these were our best bets. And this is Toronto Today, a very crazy edition of Toronto Today. Keep looking at those timelines as a lot more NBA moves are expected to happen. This is Luca and Mike signing off. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll catch you all again in the next episode.